Who was it that decided that it would be totally cool, no problem at all, to get rid of the extra U in color or to change the E to an A in gray, but decided that the K at the beginning of knife is completely necessary to the understanding of that word? I don't get that. I feel like the way it is now is just confusing all our Chinese friends, and they're trying to learn this language so that they can use it for their business dealings and some such. Greetings everyone, it's your boy T-Bearius, and today I want to talk about something I think a lot of you will be interested in. You know, how many times have you been at your gym and you've seen a heavy punching bag hanging there? Or maybe you've taken one of these aerobics martial arts classes and seen people in there punching away. Or maybe you've even taken a self-defense class and you've noticed something that I've noticed, which is that people get very creative in how they actually punch things. Welcome to my T-Bear Teaches series, where I take some things that I think everyone should know, but not everyone does, and share them with you. Today I'd like to talk about something that I've noticed a lot of people around me struggle with, and I thought I would dedicate a video to it, and that is how to throw a proper punch. Now before we even begin, please let me say that even though I'm making this video to try to help you understand the proper technique for a punch, I do not in any way want to condone violence towards anyone or any animals or anything. Don't walk around punching people, inciting violence, punching animals, destroying things. None of those things are cool, and none of those things are the purpose for this video. If you were to ever find yourself in a self-defense situation, then so be it. I hope that these techniques would be useful to you and would help you in that situation. But otherwise, please, 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 only punch things like punching bags or punching pads or other things that are made for these, for exercise or for educational purposes or whatever the case may be. These techniques are dangerous. They can cause serious injury, not only to whatever you hit, but also to yourself. Hands break, fingers break. There may be nothing you can do about that. People such as martial arts experts, boxers, those sorts of things, work very long and very hard on strengthening and toughening up their hands to help them to withstand the force of these techniques. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So the very first thing that I want to discuss about punching is how your hand and your arm need to be shaped. The first thing that you'll see a lot of people make mistakes with, especially children, is that they don't form their fist properly. You'll see a lot of these sorts of things where the thumb is set to protrude, or one knuckle is out, or all the knuckles are out. Now some of these are sort of valid striking techniques in martial arts, but a lot of those are intended for striking particular targets that are maybe softer and are going to be less damaging to your hands. As a general rule, just to give a good basic punch, you want to start with a simple basic fist. Take all of your fingers and curl them up, and then place your thumb on the outside and underneath to kind of hold everything together. Don't try placing the thumb inside. Don't try protruding the thumb through the fingers. None of that. Just curl the fingers, lock in the thumb, and you're ready to go. Now the first common mistake that you'll see people do if you look at my hand from the side is either trying to punch with their wrist cocked up like this to lead with these two knuckles, or with their wrist cocked down like that and leading with these two knuckles. The reason people do that is because basically it looks like if you were to punch this way, you would maximize the amount of pain basically that you cause to the target that you were hitting. But you don't want to do that. Your arm and your body are going to place all of the force on your fist by traveling through your entire arm. If you have a joint that's curved or out of alignment like this, what's actually going to happen is that your wrist is going to continue to bend as it's already pre-bent, and that's going to A, rob power from your punch delivery, but B, is going to increase the damage, the potential damage to your hand. For that reason, the proper alignment of your hand should be to have your wrist flat along the top, so that this joint and your forearm and the top of your hand are all in a single line like this. That way, as you deliver power with your body to the back of your arm, you will get the maximum amount of energy transfer straight down this line, straight down out through the end of the knuckles and into the target. This is very important, and you'll notice it if you've ever tried punching a punching bag. Very quickly your wrist will get sore, and that's because it takes a lot of muscle control and a lot of practice to sort of keep up this nice pretty straight shape. That's why you see in like martial arts movies they talk about doing push-ups on your knuckles and those sorts of things. A lot of those things are to strengthen and learn to control naturally the arm to be in this nice straight pretty shape. Now the second thing you'll want to do when you're delivering your punch is to remember that punching is just like hitting a baseball or hitting a golf ball. There's only a certain amount of power that you can generate just using your arm. To maximize the amount of power that you can deliver, you want to get as much of your body and your body's mass moving as possible behind that punch. This means that you want to start all the way from the feet. You want to be sort of driving forward into what you're going to punch. You need to be pivoting at your waist. You need to be squaring up your shoulders and moving your arm all in a single sort of movement, like when you pitch a baseball. So ideally, you would like to be pivoting at your shoulders, pivoting at your hips, and actually stepping forward, driving through off your legs. And along those same lines, you'll notice that when I punch, I'm actually facing my target with the side that I'm not going to be punching with. I'm punching with my right in this case. So I want to have my left facing towards the target so that I can get the maximum amount of rotation in the delivery of my punch. The final thing that you want to do when you're delivering your punch to make sure you get as much power as possible is to make sure that you're making contact at the right place. You don't want, when you're making your punch, you don't want to make contact with your target out here at the extent of your reach. Why? Because by the time your arm gets that far, your shoulders are starting to stop their pivot, your hips are turned, you're squared to your target. It's just basically your arm sort of like following through. At that point, you're already starting to rob power from your punch. Instead, you want to ideally make contact with your target about here, with your elbow at about a 90-degree angle, at sort of the maximum point of your body's torque, of your movement forward, of all of the drive that you can get, of all of the mass that you can get moving. And when you make contact, you don't want to be trying to make contact directly with the target, but instead you want to be visualizing punching your way right through that target so that everything stays moving as much as possible right through the contact. And one just other final word of warning, another reason why you want to make sure that you're making contact with some bend left in your arm is that ideally two things that you never want to do when you're punching is, number one, let your shoulders, I'm going to use my left arm so that you can see me move towards the camera better. You want to let your shoulders stop at the point in which they're square to the target. You don't want to over rotate so that you're twisting around your own body like this. That throws you off balance. It can cause some twisting injuries in your back or whatnot. You don't want to do that. The second thing you don't want to do is you don't want to let that elbow lock out at the extent of its movement. That's bad for these elbow joints amongst many other things. So at the end of your punch, you'd really like to have, if you can sort of see, a little bit of an angle left in your elbow so that you're not kind of hyperextending on that motion. Alright, so that's kind of it, guys. That's the tutorial on how to throw a simple basic punch. A couple other things that I'll just add on to the end of this video. I mentioned them before, but I just want to bring them back out again. If you punch something with your hands and it's harder than your hand is, you can potentially injure your hand. Nothing in this video is a guarantee that if you follow all of these steps that you will somehow now be able to just punch through a concrete wall. Boxers, martial artists, people who perfect these techniques spend a lot of time over a lifetime perfecting these striking techniques, and part of what they do is to learn how to harden the bones and make their hands and their feet and their elbows and whatever else is as hard and as difficult to injure as possible. And even still, boxers break fingers and wrists and things all the time. So you definitely want to be aware of that. What I would personally suggest is that if your gym has like a heavy punching bag, or if you can find some kind of a punching target like that, get you some good gloves and kind of practice. Go in there, sort of throw some not so powerful punches, increase in your power a little bit until you sort of reach that that area where you feel like you're punching as hard as you can without causing any sort of injury to yourself. The other thing that I would encourage every one of you to do is to, if you're interested in these techniques or in martial arts in general, find a class. Find a boxing class, martial arts, mixed martial arts, whatever your preference is, and learn more about these things. Very early in the process, they're going to talk to you about all these different like strikes that you can do and all of these different ways that you can hit things, and it's going to be a lot more beneficial to you than just watching one YouTube video on how to throw a punch. I only wanted to show you this because it's something that I've noticed in people around me my whole life, that people just don't necessarily pick up in the normal course of their growing up. And I think that is something important that everyone should know, and it's something that a lot of you might find sort of, you know, interesting and beneficial in your life at some point. All right, so that's about it from me. Thank you for watching. If you like what I'm doing here and you like the channel, then please feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment below if you would like to. And I'm really enjoying making these videos. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Until then, it's your boy T-Bear, and I will talk to you later.